So Greg Gilmore played defensive line at LSU, and he too is a great American. Greg, thanks for joining me today, man. How you doing?
How you doing?
Outstanding, man. So you played defensive line at LSU for Coach O when he was the defensive line coach, and then when he was the head coach. Tough news that he won't be coming back for 2022. Just your thoughts on that.
Um, you know, I just feel like I'm sad for Coach O. First of all, he taught me everything that I know. Um, he treat me like a son. I'm really close to him in that aspect. But I also understand the business. I'm a businessman in the business world, so it's the same in the football world. We want to win games. Uh, and maybe he lost the grasp that he thought he had on the team and the culture of the LSU. So it'll be a good first start. I will say though, it just seems like ever since Miles left, or ever since Chief left, man, a lot of bodies coming in and out as far as coaching.
Yeah, I think that's been pointed to as part of the demise, the hiring of the assistant coaches, and we don't want to point fingers at guys, but certainly, like at Alabama, for example, Greg, the coaches that leave are getting promoted; they're getting bigger jobs and moving on. It just seems like LSU has struggled to find stability in terms of their coaching staff.
Right, right. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the grasp that Coach O wants to have on these guys and the control that he wants to have in the building. Maybe sometimes you do have to take a back seat to some of these guys who are really intelligent in the offensive world, really intelligent in the defensive world, and let them do what they're getting paid for. And maybe that has to do with it. But I just feel like at the end of the day, whoever this next coach is, whoever this coach needs to be, needs somebody that's going to be here 10 years, somebody who's going to change his program around from the guts, from the ground up. So,
yeah. LSU is not a stepping stone job. I would have to agree. You hear about, is it the best job in the country? Maybe, maybe not, but it's got to be in the top five, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the best job in Louisiana.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean,
Yeah.
You get a lot of praise, but you do get a lot of hate, and you do get a lot of people going diving into your personal life, and do get a lot of different things in that aspect. And I feel like Coach O, he handled it the best way he could, the only way he could, and he's one of the realer coaches, out here in America. So
you got a good Coach O story when hey Greg, I like it when you make that tackle. Something that happened when you played or anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I got so many Coach O stories. We'd be here all day, but I will say that coming in, my role at LSU was very minuscule when he came here. I was a guy who was supposed to play a lot of snaps, ended up not playing my first 2 years, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. So he took me aside one day and he told me, "Hey man, me and you in the same boat. Ever since I left Ole Miss, I got up in my Hummer, and me and Miss Kelly was gone. And I never thought that I would get back in coaching. And the same was for me. I never thought that I would be playing on a football field because my first 2 years at LSU, was terrible. And so we kind of holding hands through that first year, him being the D-line coach, and that's where he taught me everything that I needed to know to be successful for the next level.
That's a great story. Appreciate it. And I certainly remember in the early going, his first full year in 2017, the defensive linemen, you guys were like the Marines. You were the few and the proud, right? It was you,
Yeah.
Lockature, Rashard Lawrence, and outside of that, there was no other guy really to get on the field.
Yep. And I look, man, that year, those last couple years was crazy. I feel like me and Christian probably had one of the best defensive tackle duos, and statistically in LSU history. Maybe I'm being biased. And I feel like
you guys
Coach O
put up
did
some
have
numbers. You guys definitely put up some numbers.
For sure. And I feel like Coach O had a lot to do with it. So,
Greg, try to put yourself in LSU, the players positioned right now, because you were there in 2016 when Coach Miles got fired. That was different because Coach O came in with a whole different, we're going to practice less in terms of time. We're going to stay fresh. And in terms of the media, he was so much different than Miles. The whole thing was fresh and new. Now it seems like with the current team, nothing really has changed. They just know he's not coming back next year. But it seems like they're going through their standard operations the same.
Well, the fact of the matter is we still got 5 games left, if I'm not mistaken. Fact of the matter is, we still have preparation to do, and it's a lot of preparation in that offense. And some of that stuff has to be compartmentalized. Some of that stuff has to be getting ourselves mentally prepared for what's coming next. But at the end of the day, we need somebody who'll come in here and not change the culture, but understand what's wrong with this culture at LSU and try to improve it.
Do you know anything about the coaches out there? Do you have any idea, or you have?
I hear some talk. Jimbo. I hear some talk. I saw Dave Aranda's name thrown around. I mean, it honestly, with the guys that we have at LSU, it won't take any kind of effort to get us back on top. That's how I feel.
Well, let me, not to cut you off. Okay, you were around Dave Aranda. You were around, yeah. You were around Dave Aranda. So much a departure from Coach O in terms of personality, right? Coach O is very emotional and rah rah rah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Aranda, much more measured, tempered, kind of like a Jedi for those
for
Star Wars fans.
Well, I know this. I know that Coach Aranda, schematically, as far as scheme, as far as what you're going to see on the field, can keep up with any team in America. That's what I know. Yeah. I know that he's probably one of the smartest coordinators that I've ever had conversations with. So with that being said, I wouldn't mind him. I always told him, man, you would be a terrible head coach because you're just too smart. You need to be out there. You need to be out here calling defenses, man. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a waste of your talent. But in the grand scheme of things, I think he'll be perfect for LSU. That's what we need. So
he'd be a terrible coach because they would be asking him to go speak at events.
No, man.
And do all the. But what I'm saying, I'm trying to make your point. He would be doing things that would take him away from coaching defenses.
Of course. He would spend hours in the film room teaching me things that I never thought about, different ways and concepts to beat offenses. And I told him it would be a waste of his talent. So.
And Greg, the adjustments too, right? The halftime adjustments. There were so many games where LSU defense perhaps had a bad first half, but man, in the second half, he made adjustments and would shut teams down.
Right, exactly. And I feel like that's what you need to compete with Alabama, with some of these schools in the SEC that are, powerhouse. Just win games, in general. So,
yeah. What are your what memories do you take away from LSU? I mean, you're from North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yep, North Carolina.
North Carolina. So you came all the way from North Carolina to play football at LSU, and it's in your blood forever, right?
Forever.
Tiger Stadium.
The memories for me, first of all, I would say is the culture. It's a lot different being down a little bit more down south. Everybody's really nice. Everybody's friendly. But everybody got an attitude, if that makes sense. Okay, second of all would be the food, man. The food, the seasoning of the food, the spiciness. I've gone to love the culture of the Southern culture, style food, the Cajun style food. And I miss and with football, man, I miss the fans. I miss the camaraderie. I'm wearing my boy Braden Fajoko's merchandise right now, counted out. Oh. He's doing very well for himself.
Fajoko's got merchandise.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I just miss the culture and the boys, man. That's really all the memories that I take. I take nothing but good memories, man. Honestly.
Yeah, you played on some very good teams and went to bowl games every year and everything.
Yeah.
I wish you could have been on that 2019 team.
Man, you know what? I tend to think that it was guys like me, guys like Devon Gottschall, guys like Christian, guys like Jeremy Hill, guys like that who pushed that team to be where they at. Devin White.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, me covering LSU football, growing up on LSU football, all the good players are significant. I don't think anybody really thinks that way, but I just don't like it sometimes when they only gravitate to the guys who won national titles. So I don't think many people do that, but certainly you had some great times there at LSU. And Christian is selling beer now. Christian did the coaching thing for a little bit. Now he's out. So he's
well, you know what? Beer. We're starting a podcast soon, so.
Well, tell people about that before we have to run here. Tell you. So you and Locke are doing a
man. So we're getting some, trying to finish some legal things right now. with some sponsorships and legal things with the name of the podcast, but we want to do sports, man. We love sports, and the things that we do outside of sports, you know, our businesses, that's what we do because that's our lifestyle, you know. But what we love to do is talk football, and so I think that's what we want to do. We want to start a podcast. Obviously, we're going to cover LSU. We're going to cover baseball. We're going to have guys like Alex Bregman, Daniil Hunter. We're going to have guys on there on a weekly basis because we have the access to these guys, and we have access where other people don't. You know,
Like
Cameron
me.
Robinson. Hey, you got more access than us. You're more big time than us, man. So,
oh no,
you know,
I tell you what, hey, no, if you got Bregman and Daniil lined up first 2 shows, I'm out of business, Greg. You doing an awesome job. Daniil Hunter, what a guy, man. When he showed up on campus, they called him the Terminator, right? He had these veins and these muscles.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And
man.
his pro career obviously dwarfed his college career. But man, one of the best players in the NFL.
Oh yeah. I feel like he's still underrated in the NFL, man. He's put up great numbers, and he's still a humble and loving dude. I talk to him once a week, if not more. And he really taught me a lot too when it comes to my development at LSU, you know, in terms of being consistent and blocking out the noise and continuing to do what he has to do. So,
well, Greg, I really appreciate you joining me. We'll definitely talk again in the future. I'm going to definitely get an update on the podcast and everything that's going on.
For sure, man.
And for people out there watching, in terms of a great LSU Tiger who was always respectful to those around him and did his job and stayed out of trouble off the field, Greg Gilmore, great example for anybody to look at.
Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon, man.
All right.